All right, then. So let's start by just talking about what you were doing kind of before our paths met. What was your background?
Before we met, I had not just, I think, yes, just graduated, and I was currently contracted to do some data research work with an organization in London. So when we met, I was out of school and sort of navigating into the data world, trying to find my feet where I'd
Mm.
belong. So that was my situation at the time.
And what was your level of SQL knowledge back then?
It was very basic level. So for the course that I did was data analytics, but we were introduced to like various tools in data analytics, and SQL was one, but it was not thought because I think I've noticed SQL is very underrated in among data professionals. So it was like, oh, SQL, you use SQL to get data from databases. So I just knew the very basic foundation of SQL, select
Mm.
all from and filter. And I think that was about that, and probably a few joins, and that was it.
So were there any bits of doing that were kind of challenging for you?
Yes, so at the time, joint used to confuse me a lot. And at the time, I actually thought there should be more to it. But it's for most of the online resources, especially on YouTube, it's always introduction to SQL, introduction to SQL. And it's the
Mm.
same select all from where, probably a little bit of aggregations, and that's where it ends.
How did you first become aware of me and what I do and the BI school?
It was on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I, I saw you talk about, was it data roles? And if you'd want to learn SQL, you don't bite, just have a chat. So yeah, I did
Mhm.
sign up for a chat, I think. And also you were offering a roadmap to SQL. That was the thing that actually made me sign up because I wanted to learn SQL, but as I mentioned earlier, it was always select from where
Mhm.
aggregations, and yeah, that was it. So you were offering to give a roadmap, and if you'd want to learn in details, chat with Nick, and yeah, that's how I signed off.
Cool. So I think you joined us in about October last year, and it's
Yes,
now February, and you've been right the way through the program. So what
yes.
did you think about the structure of the program?
I think it was very organized. It gave me what I was looking for. The fact that it was in three sections, sort of basic foundations, then you build on those foundations, and then you do the more advanced stuff. So the walk, run, fly. I think the in terms of structure, I think it takes you through very gradual process in learning, and it builds on the knowledge, like as in
Mhm.
step by step. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of the content, because there's stuff in there that you'd probably very rarely use, but I felt it was important to include it. Did that feel irrelevant? Was it too little, too much?
I think in terms of the content, fortunately, for what I do for work right now, it was very satisfactory because we tend to use a wide array of functions in SQL. So in terms of the content, I think basically was satisfactory, and the fact that the basics are covered, and if you tend not to use the advanced stuff, at least you have knowledge about it. So
So you mentioned there that you've changed what you do for work now.
yes.
So does that require a higher technical level than you've used before?
Yes. So before when I met you, I was doing something research based.
Mhm.
So researching data, no, just little technical skills. But with this, it's very advanced SQL skills you need as to work as a data migrator. So yeah, I do use advanced SQL skills in my
Okay.
area of work.
So in terms of the program, there's a big emphasis on support and mentorship because I felt all along that You can go and get videos anywhere, but then that sort of ability to access me personally what would make it different. So what are your experiences of that with the program?
I think personally, it gave me motivation to finish the course. It was that sort of, oh, I'm going to meet Nick this week. I should have moved forward from what I did last week. And if I was stuck on something, and sometimes when you're stuck on code, it could demotivate you. It's the fact that I know that Nick is going to help me out solve it, and then I could move forward. So those weekly meetings and mentorship, you could also book anytime, but usually I just join the weekly meetings. I think they were very helpful in terms of motivation, in terms of helping you if you're stuck, and in terms of moving forward actually in the course. So it was super helpful.
Are there areas that you found difficult?
With difficulty, I would say when I got to the fly, which was a bit advanced, it was just the difficulty had to do with understanding the concept. So I think it was also helpful that the videos are available to you. And so there were times where I'd spend 2 to 3 days on a topic. So rewatch the videos over and over. So I think the fact that the videos are actually available to you, and also if there's a challenge, is explained to you after in details and not just the solution given to you in maybe a format of CSV file. Say, oh, that's the answer. The fact that there's time that where you explain the answer. So in terms of difficulty, the difficulty I faced was sort of covered because it was just sometimes understanding the concepts, and I just had to rewatch the videos, and also the weekly meetings where you could ask, even though you explain it in the video, I still don't understand it, and then you go over it again. So.
And you mentioned the challenges then. So in each lesson there's a challenge. Did you find those too easy, too difficult, or just about right? What was your experience there?
I think the challenges took it kind of followed the structure of the course. So in the beginning, I was like, oh, too easy. I just used to go through them. And then as I progressed, it got a little bit difficult. So it's like as you progress, it's testing your logical reasoning in terms of using SQL to solve questions. So yes, they were difficult and sometimes basic, but it was kind of introducing you to what you do in SQL. Yes.
And can you think of any areas in which the program could be improved?
I would say maybe some of the platforms SQL could be used on, aside MS SQL, maybe introduction to other platforms where you could use SQL. It might not be in detail, but at least to, like, say, Snowflake or any other platform, just so the students get knowledge about that as well.
Fair enough, yeah. And the final question, would you recommend the program to people wanting to learn SQL?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If anyone's looking to learn SQL, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and you'd want to further advance your skill, definitely I'd recommend the BI school to you. It's very helpful, very structured, and you learn a lot in the sessions, the weekly sessions, and also how informative the course is as well. Because I don't think I did do a little bit of research on SQL when I wanted to learn this, because I remember before we graduated, a professor told us pick a data tool and then master it. So I went with SQL, and I don't think there's any resource that I have found that is as detailed as what the BI school offers you. It's very detailed in terms of understanding and learning SQL. So definitely would recommend it.
Thank you.